One Piece. This is One Piece chapter 1030, echoing the impermanence of all things. Long ass title for a long ass series. Okay, so last we left off with One Piece, just a lot of chaos. Sanji is dealing with a lot of changes in his body. Big Mom and Law are still battling, Law and Kid are still battling it out with Big Mom. Luffy's fighting Kaido. Zoro's having some trouble with King. And now we open up on something completely different. I guess in this weird storage area, Apu is talking to X-Drake about betraying Kaido. So it's him, and it's not just him. He's also got Kaido's numbers, who are the big, giant, super strong monsters that Kaido has under his employ. And they all seem to be on Scratchman Apu's side, which is a pretty big twist, I guess. So he's pitching an alliance with Diaz Drake, despite knowing that he's a Navy spy. But right now, that doesn't matter right now because everybody's gunning for Kaido. I guess in hindsight,
you see these big goons with me? I could care less.
Look at these big goons I've added to my crew.
Right? You see this nigga drooling in the middle.
Yeah.
I don't know what the deal is with this guy with the mustache. He looks way too grown. Like all the other ones look silly and immature. This guy just looks like he's got something on his mind.
Yeah, I
don't like that.
He's got demon shit rolling through his brain. I mean, this is actually kind of cool. I mean, I'm glad that Apu's role is not just get stomped by Zoro and that's it. But that being said, he did get stomped by Zoro, so what does he think he's going to do against Kaido? It is kind of...
At least you say it after the fact.
Yeah. I do think it's cool, though. I'm glad that Apu has an enhanced role in the series.
Do you remember the deal with the with these big guys? What was their name again?
The numbers. The numbers.
Yeah. Why are they like that?
I don't know the exact deal with these guys, but they seem to be giants that work for Kaido. I don't know if they're giants exactly. Maybe they're giants who ate smile fruits as well. But I don't know. We don't.
Yeah, they're all laughing, right? Yeah, this guy.
B. Oh my God, their laughs. B. Ki Zaki Ki.
And the last one.
Gafuga. Ga.
Yeah, gotta love One Piece.
Well, One Piece laughs. So yeah, I guess we're gonna have to see how that develops down the road. Meanwhile, Nami, Usopp, and a bunch of the little henchmen of Kaido are running down inside the castle on between the first to second floor stairs, and all of a sudden they see the lower half of Kinemon just rolling around, running around. They capture him, and he can't hear them because it's just his lower half, and he can speak through farts. So that's how he's been communicating with them this entire time.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Whenever Kinemon's lower half is talking, it's his farts.
That is gross.
Yeah. That was revealed a while back. That Kinemon has the uncanny ability to communicate through his farts. So basically he explains that like shit has gone real bad for them, and they need somebody to help out. So Usopp goes, I guess Usopp goes to help the samurai between the crawl space. And we cut to them, speak of the devil. Kiku is on death's door basically, and so is Kinemon. He apparently has the ability to separate his body like he did before, when Law initially cut him in half, because apparently Law didn't bring him, like attach him properly, like using his powers. So that's just like a thing he can do now. Okay.
Sure.
While he's like handling that business, he hears over the phone Orochi talking to Kanjuro, who is still also on death's door, and they have this whole conversation about, like, you know, performing one last act for the Kozuki, for the what was these guys? Kurozumi clan. This one last hateful act for them before he goes.
Yeah.
And what a fucking act. He creates he paints this weird like Miyazaki spirit type thing called the Kanzenbo, which is just this flaming ghost that like haunts the halls of damn, what's this place called now? Onigashima now. It's just like wandering around. And I guess the thud when he drops his brush finally, I think Kanjuro is finally dead here. I think so
he's the last of his strength for sure.
Yeah, so okay, apparently if you touch this new painting by Kanjuro, it just automatically sets you on fire. Which is pretty wild, broken wise. So, you know, we then get like little shots of various scenes throughout Wano and Onigashima. We see Momonosuke outside trying to create dragon flame clouds. We see Brooke and Robin running around. The CP0 guys are walking around, probably looking for Robin. Marco and Izo are fighting random henchmen. Kawamatsu's doing a cool sword pose. Sanji's fighting Queen. Luffy's fighting Kaido. King is fighting Zoro. And we just see that Orochi intends to have the Kazenbo, like ignite the giant armory that Yamato is now after. And we cut to Yamato as he's running towards it, and all of a sudden you see Big Mom's giant Ikoku sovereignty move just burst through the fucking floor, as Kid is just being shoved out by the power itself. And this is where things get a little wild. So Eustace is falling, and we get a little flashback to a conversation he had with Law. The first thing they talk about is that, hey, Trafalgar, have your powers awakened? As in the Devil Fruit Awakening that Doflamingo used way back in the day. Apparently Law and Kid can do that shit now too. So they can do it, but to a much lesser degree. It takes a bigger hit on their stamina. So what Law can do is apparently he can make his room, like, this is a small demonstration of what I imagine his bigger awakening powers are. His room has been upgraded to a croom now. He can croom.
Okay, yeah.
Where he can shape it around his blade and I guess inject things directly into people. So he injects half of his sword into Big Mom's like throat, it looks like, and seems to be able to create shockwaves within whatever he imbues with his power. So he does that and internally like blows up Big Mom. She seems to be fine after that, but then Eustace Kid reveals his awakening ability, which is the ability to invoke his magnetism onto other people, so he can make people magnets themselves. And when he does that, like the structure around Onigashima tends to bend around Big Mom and just crush her completely. And that's where we end on the big 2-page spread, as they seem to deal a pretty big blow against Big Mom using their awakened abilities. And yeah, that's it for the recap portion, I guess.
I don't see that beating Big Mom.
No.
Not gonna lie.
No.
It doesn't look deadly. I mean, in all actuality, it definitely is. But
yeah, to probably other people, it would probably be pretty deadly, but
yeah,
not to Big Mom.
I mean, it's just rubble. Glorified rubble.
Yeah. Well, okay, so apparently there's a lot of controversy surrounding Chapter 1000 of
Yeah.
of
This
One Piece.
this chapter?
Yeah, a lot of people.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to hear the drama. What's up?
There's a lot of people who are upset for multiple reasons.
Yeah, people don't like that Keenan Mom can just do what he did with the lower half of his body. And a lot of people, I guess the big controversy is they're very disappointed that Kid and Law's awakening is not. It just kind of comes out of nowhere. Like this was not a built up thing. We barely have seen Kid fight at all, much less like believe that he just has awakening already.
There are also people who are upset that Kiku and Kanjuro are still alive. Or were still alive.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this about that. I guess I'll address that one first because I feel like that's the most defensible thing I can do. Is that Oda, if you've been reading One Piece, Oda does not kill people unless you want them to, unless he like confirms absolutely they dead. You know, like people have survived crazy shit in One Piece, and the only way they stay dead is if Oda makes it an absolute point that they're dead.
Yeah, like Odin getting shot in the face.
Yeah.
Only after getting boiled alive for hours.
Yeah. So, you know, I feel like that's like par for the course One Piece wise. I'm not so mad at that. I agree on the other 2 points, whether it's with Kid and with Kinemon's lower half thing. It feels kind of like too convenient that Kinemon's just able to like detach the lower half of his body like that. I wish, or at least like that should have been built up before. Like we should have been able to see that at a different point in a less dire situation, I suppose. As well as like the Kid and Law points that, you know, like we've only ever seen one awakened devil fruit power, and it was a big fucking deal when it emerged. And then all of a sudden Kid and Law just look at each other and they're like, "Hey, do you have this really cool power up?" And they're like, "Yeah, let's do it."
Can you use your Bankai?
Yeah. It's like all of a sudden they have Bankai. So
I'm pretty sure Doflamingo wasn't the first awakening that we've experienced.
Oh, Crocodile, I guess, technically.
Crocodile, there's Punk Hazard with Aokiji and Akainu.
That was awakening for them?
I would imagine they both had their awakening.
That had the way they fucked up that...
Oh, when they both fought. I guess.
Yeah, the way they fucked up Punk Hazard, it had to be awakening stuff. Because like that, they permanently shifted the island in 2 different intense climates.
That's a fair point. I'll say, yeah, I mean, you know, the awakening seems to be not just invoking your devil fruit on yourself, but like putting it on other people. Like, and that seems to be the commonality between the awakening and a non-awakening thing.
Or Kid could just be my theory is he can assign magnetism to anything, not just people. So yeah, like, for sure. I don't know how magnetic. It would be helpful in other instances. Maybe at sea, it would probably be pretty strong. Just because you could just basically sink someone. Yeah. And he'll be pretty strong against the Navy because he could just assign like magnetism to one ship and then have all of the ships just fucking clash into each other.
Yeah.
I mean if we look at Doflamingo's awakening, all it was just a strong like a power up of what he already had with his strength.
Yeah.
And he was able to. What was his awakening? He was
Birdcage was busted. Birdcage was really busted.
Birdcage wasn't his awakening. His awakening is like the ability to turn like the buildings of Dressrosa into string.
Okay.
Oh. I thought
that's what we've seen so far. Is like people who've had an awakening, they're able to do something outside of themselves, which is super vague. But that's that. If we're talking about there being some type of commonality, it's that. Yeah. When I think about somebody like Luffy, I don't imagine him turning people into rubber or anything like that. It might. I can't see him making anything else rubber-like, or I just feel like it's going to be something.
Is it confirmed that the gears aren't Luffy's awakening?
Nah, I don't know. I don't think so. But here's the thing: Luffy may never.
It's just a technique.
Luffy may never get an awakening, and I'd be okay with that because you know, the main power up for Luffy is supposed to be this like hockey training he's been doing. So If Luffy never gets an awakening,
if he is going to get an awakening, it's not happening in Wano because there's been like no focus on his awakening stuff yet.
Yeah, but never say never because there's been no focus on Law's awakening, and he's been a cast member for a long time.
But Law has to, like, we all understand that Law has to like take a back seat in combat stuff. You know, like he literally has no choice but to be in the back seat, or else he just wins everything.
Well, here's the thing: I don't have necessarily a problem with their powers awakening. It's just one of the few times where Oda didn't execute well. You know,
what I think he has some pressure, because Wano's been going on for a really long time. The anime is catching up pretty fast, so I feel like he's kind of rushing these build-up chapters, and he's just plopping them all as much information as possible in one chapter so he can get to the juicy parts.
I feel
faster, you know?
Yeah, that could probably be it.
I'd like to imagine that all of this is going to be fleshed out in the anime, and the anime might actually be worth watching for this war, in my opinion. I think it might be the most optimal way to watch this series or to consume this series, because they're going to need to pad a lot of stuff. And to pad all that stuff, we're going to have to fill in the gaps that Oda's kind of leaving out right now. And this is like perfect opportunity for the anime to like flesh shit out. Because they're not afraid to flesh out stuff in like an actually beneficial way.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think I guess like the best way to have done this, I wish they would just like if they were to just achieve their awakenings here through battle, I think that would be a way doper thing. You know what I mean? Like for them to discover both of their awakenings in this moment.
I think Brook had an awakening, by the way.
Oh, when?
With how he uses the soul part of his fruit.
I guess that could be an awakening.
Yeah.
He didn't use those words per se. Yeah. But
apparently
he
not
did say he finally understood like what his fruit meant or something like that. That's what sounds like an awakening to me.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know. Have you guys felt like One Piece has been getting a little rushed recently? Like,
I don't know.
Am I the only one that's felt like that in some instances where it feels like Oda's not taking time in places he usually would?
I say, all right. If I can answer, I say yes and no. Yes, because based on my expectations, I would have imagined like we would have seen a little bit of a more drawn out fight for like the Supernovas versus Mom. But at the end of the day, I think we just had to treat them as if they're the crew members, the same way they'll get like a little fight and a nice little bit of development, just kind of move on, and he's gonna probably save it for what really matters, which is the King and Queen fight, and Luffy's fight, his finale. So yeah, I think you could argue that's kind of always been a thing in the series, outside of CP9. And I keep saying CP9. Why did I say that? Any sloppy.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if it's being rushed so much as like Oda might be too deep as far as like this organized chaos that he's usually so good at. He just got like a ton of moving pieces going around at the same time. Probably even more so than like the Paramount War, because these are not just like Whitebeard's offshoots. These are like main characters that all have to reach some certain stage of development throughout this battle. It's a lot to handle, and it's a big scale. I don't know if he's getting like rushed, because I don't think anybody would rush Oda. You know what I mean? Like,
no, I don't think anybody's rushing him. I think he's rushing himself a little bit in certain parts of Wano.
Maybe. I just think that he might be just like overwhelming himself a little bit with the amount of things that are happening.
Wano is most definitely his longest arc of all time, right?
Yes, it is.
So like, I feel like at some point he's like, oh shit, this is going on pretty long. Like, the anime is really like right on my heels right now. This is actually starting to get a little worrying.
Yeah, I don't think
I might not be able to take as much time as I usually would.
I don't think a lot of manga artists worry about the anime. You know, like they're on their own thing.
The anime is also a big part of sales for One Piece.
I'm sure, but he's at a point where like I can't imagine that he's like stressed about the anime because like no matter what, he beat like Batman in the highest selling like comic books in the world, like all time. I don't think he's like worried about sales. I think he's just like, you know, just a little out of his depth a little bit here. And the guy's human, you know. It doesn't have to be like this big complicated reason as to why certain things feel like drawn out or rushed or whatever. You know, sometimes like writers write themselves into corners that they have to get out of, or take missteps with things. And that's why I'm not too stressed about it. A lot of people are very angry about this chapter. But it's like, come on, man. This is like when you're like the greatest of all time, it's like, how many bad chapters of One Piece are there? And if this is the worst it gets, I mean, I don't even know. I think we're spoiled at that point.
Oda gets the benefit of the doubt for me, like I said. Yeah. I would just imagine that whatever's being sacrificed, as far as like not much depth being put into law and kids fight, I think it's going to just pay off in other areas.
Yeah.
That's how I feel until it's, you know, we'll see what happens when this arc wraps up.
Yeah. I mean, it's not over, right? So
not even close to over, I think.
Yeah. So we could very well just get a quick flashback explanation as to when they awaken their powers. I could see that. All that shit. Just be patient. I think we're very spoiled when it comes to One Piece. So if anything goes like slightly weird or wrong, we're like, well, he's not the same. You know, like people are just waiting for that moment because we've been scarred by so many other series, I guess. So many other series going down the tubes. But yeah, I mean, this is a strange chapter for sure. And I'm not saying that like I loved it, but you know, there are worse things that could have happened with One Piece. I'm actually kind of excited for the prospect of this. And I know that this isn't the end for Big Mom. Like, she's not getting beat by a bunch of buildings falling on her. She's a fucking emperor. You got a lot more to take them out.
But she should be trapped in there for a little while.
Yeah.
She might end up turning all of that shit into people.
Imagine.
The living things, every object.
That'd be fire.
Then she's gonna command them to get off of her.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all I have for One Piece. Solid-ish chapter, not the best, but whatever. Can't win them all.